Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Damer, together with my co-host Mark Ronich of Statewide News Service and jbiztechfamily.com.
Well, it's good to be here again, and we have a really special guest with us today.
Who is that?
The head of Albany County, the Albany County Executive, Dan McCoy.
Well, thank you for having me on your
He's
show,
been on so
Rabbi
many
and Mark. I
times.
appreciate
Welcome
that.
back.
You're not a guest anymore. You're
I'm
saying
family.
the Yiddish Mishpacha. You're part of the family.
I'm like family now. I like
That's
that. I
right.
like
Absolutely.
that. I like that.
Okay.
I do like that.
So, Dan, how are things going in your position? You're up for election next year. but-
Next year,
Yeah,
I don't know where the time went. It's a 4-year term.
Right, so this is your third year.
This is my third year.
Yeah, how do you like it?
I like it. You know, it's challenging. You know, when I
Yeah.
took over, we had a $15 million deficit. We had about $19 million in reserves, and things are, we hit the Great Recession
Where are we
from
now?
08, and I'm like, it can't get any worse, right? You know, it can only go up from here. So it's been challenging. And
Where's the budget now?
we were under the cap last year.
do
First
you have
lowest taxes.
Do you have higher reserves and lower
Oh, we do.
deficit?
Our reserves right now about $37 million. Our deficit, which, there's two ways to tackle a deficit. You either raise taxes one time and you pay it off, or you find true savings. So in the course of the
Or
last
you lay people off?
That too, but
Yeah.
we didn't do that. So in the course of 2 years, we've knocked a $15 million deficit down to 9.9, and I'm proud of that. That's through finding ways of doing things differently. And I said we have to treat government like a corporation. We have to treat it like a business. And the shareholders are the constituents we represent in Albany County. So at the end of the day, I strive to make a profit, but it's to relieve you of taxes.
Right, but
you
is
know.
it a structural deficit? I mean, is it always going to be a deficit?
No, we're getting it down. We're down to 9.9.
I know.
You know.
Yeah, you wanted to get it down from double digits, so you got it
Correct.
just under 10 million
Correct.
or billion?
10 million.
Million.
10 million.
Okay, so what's the
It's-
total
It was a
budget?
structure. Our total budget's 600 million. Our deficit, our debt that we've incurred in the county is about roughly $251 million.
So how do you come up with, how are you able to pay the bills if you're not, I mean, when I'm in a deficit or I have debt, I can't write a check and
It's doing a lot of partnerships, Mark. It's thinking outside the box, Rabbi, and saying, hey, because we did it this way for 30 or 40 years, it doesn't make it right. Let's try to do
Right.
something differently. Let's bring in experts from the outside. I had a great transition team led by the CEO of Jim Barber from Albany Med. So it was nice to get that point of view from business owners that have, obviously stock in Albany County and want to see us succeed. So it's really transforming government into what we have today.
So where are you, I mean, how do you borrow the money from the bank to make up the deficit?
We were borrowing
15
million to make payroll 10 months out of the year.
Right, so now you're
So now
borrowing
we're borrowing
9.9.
9.9,
And who's the
correct.
bank that you use?
Our county controller goes out to the market and they get the best price for us.
Okay, so you're
So
not
we borrow
paying-
TAN's money. It's transitional money that we basically use for 10 months, and we pay ourselves. We pay it back. And
Okay.
so I'm trying to get away from that.
Because there's interest on that money that you have
I think
to
it was
pay.
roughly like $15,000 to borrow 15 million at that point in time.
Okay.
Because the interest rates are low.
Yeah, yeah.
As the economy gets better, that interest rate's going to go up, and obviously we want to continue to knock at that deficit, and without putting on the burden of the taxpayers of Albany County.
Okay, so now I want to get onto one of the biggest issues that's been going around, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's the oil tanker issue. And you have this these federal railroad tracks, federally operated, regulated railroad tracks, next to a federally funded apartment complex in downtown Albany, the Ezra Prentice Apartments. And somehow the county and the city feels that they could tell the federal government, we don't want oil tankers coming through our city.
Well,
Something to that effect. I mean, maybe you could correct me on that.
Here's the thing: it's federally regulated.
Yeah.
So Global or CSX or Canadian Pacific really doesn't have to listen to the towns, cities, and villages and counties it goes through. They don't have to be a good neighbor. They don't have to be a good partner.
Right.
Because they don't need us at the end of the day. Until they were putting these boilers in at the port, and I did a moratorium back in March 12th and said, oh no, we're going to look at it differently. And I used my fire background and my military experience. I said, I'm not looking at it from the federal side because you got us. They have their attorneys, they have it locked down. But I looked at it from a safety and health standpoint. And I looked at it, we used our sanitation code, we used our existing charter, and we used them powers to basically say, no, we're putting a moratorium, we're slowing the brakes down, because we have to protect the people. Now, people say, I'm all for economic development. I'm all for creating jobs. I've attracted companies from Saratoga, Glens Falls, down into Albany, a Rochester firm. But here's the issue. We get no benefit out of this. We take all the risk, and there's no benefits. We're not creating jobs. We're getting more and more mass oil going through our county. We've become a major hub overnight.
But the tracks were there first. Who was the brainiac who approved this Ezra Prentice Apartments to be built right next to railroad tracks?
You'd have to probably go back to Albany Housing and go to Mayor Corning's administration, because I think they were built back in 1960s, if I stand corrected.
Okay, so now,
I agree with you, though.
why can't you build like a wall, like we have the sound barriers on the thruway? Why can't you build a wall that protects the Ezra Prentice Apartments? Maybe the federal government could build the wall. I don't mean you personally, but I don't mean you to be out there with a hammer and nails. But why couldn't the wall be built to protect those people so that if there was an explosion, at least it would mitigate the effect?
I agree, and it comes down to dollars and cents. And the county, though
Well,
we're
you're
getting
buds with Chuck Schumer. Come
Yeah, Chuck's a great guy. Senator Schumer's been doing a great job on this issue, and so is Senator Gillibrand and Congressman Tonko. The issue comes down to money. It's always money. The city's not in a financial capability.
Right.
The county's not. But if we can't get global to pay for this, we need to do something. We need to do something.
Are
to
you
protect the
talking
people.
about building a wall?
I put a safety committee together. Peter Iwanowitz,
Yeah.
who used to be the former DEC commissioner, acting commissioner. I got this great committee together. They're putting, we're talking about air monitoring, what type of things to check for, and working with Sheriff Apple. Sheriff Apple's doing a comprehensive study of the port, what we need to respond, how do we handle it. So when we get all the recommendations back, yes, that might be one of them, Mark. That might be one
Now,
of the solutions.
This is the city of Albany, but these
Correct.
tracks go through Cohoes and Watervliet.
All over
and it's-
Voorheesville, New Scotland, Bethlehem.
Yeah, but
they're
when
all
you,
over.
when you get to Watervliet, you got Bob's Diner or Stewart's. I mean, it's really like as close as you and I are sitting to
Correct.
the trains going through and people eating in a diner.
You know, Mark, there is another side of the coin. I mean, let's, just the other things that now it became one issue, but I mean, they would just say, it never, like you say, in 1960s or how long these trains been there never has been an incident, and all of a sudden it's
Because there was an incident in Quebec, Canada.
That's what happened to everybody.
July 6, 47 people tragically lost their life. And the problem is now, Rabbi, is that we're getting all this crude oil out of Canada, this tar sand oil, this light oil, and the DOT 111s that they're transporting in were built in the 1960s for molasses. They weren't made for this type of transportation. So that's the other issue. So if they go to the recommended new DOTs that are safer to transport this type of product, and they didn't want to put these computer systems on the trains. That incident happened down in New York City when the conductor fell asleep. If this computer system was in there, and actually this NTSB goes back to 1991, and before that, recommending for the trains to do this, it would have slowed that train down to a 30-mile or 20-mile, wherever that turn was. And that accident wouldn't have happened. And they listed a whole list of steps that they could have taken that would have stopped disasters. Because the oil is getting bigger and bigger in this country coming from Canada, and we need to address it. It's not like the transportation of years ago. It's different. So, I say to your viewers, stay tuned. We got a lot more we're going to be doing. We're going to be making an announcement tomorrow. We're going to be
What are you announcing?
We're announcing. Is this live? That's
No.
No.
Tell
We're
me,
going to
what are
be
we
announcing a hotline, a 1-800 number people can call if they have an issue with odor or something like that, so we can start documenting and helping them out. So
And who's manning the hotline? or
we're
woman in
going
the
to,
hotline?
Peter Iwanowitz will be announcing that tomorrow, but it's a company we contracted with, and they'll be taking care of that for us. And so there's things that we're going to put in place for safety for the residents first and foremost, and not just for down there, for all over the county. There's
211.
issues. Yes.
There's a 211
Yes,
number.
it's been issues all over. So we're going to be doing different steps throughout this process to take necessarily to protect the residents first and foremost, and then environment. It's very important to protect our environment, not just for our children today, but for their children in the future.
So, did you ruffle feathers with city officials, whether it's in Watervliet or Cohoes or Albany, when you came out and you made your pronouncement? I mean, are you okay with all these local officials?
I'm working hand in hand with Mayor Sheen. we're trying to solve the same issues. I said we're collectively trying to take our same energy.
So
And,
why was there some, was the media just making more of it than it
I
really
think they
was,
were. I mean, I just I've been a firefighter for
Yeah.
20 years, military for over 25. The day we had the press conference down there to talk about stiffer penalties, the first in the nation, we talked about fining a company up to $250,000 and a year up to jail for not reporting an incident. A 7-year-old kid with a basketball walks by us. And the media corps was choking on the oil. The people standing there, it was overtaking us. It was one of them hot, humid days. And people came out and they were complaining, and they kind of hijacked our news conference and basically said, look, we're tired of living here. I said, look.
Well, then they can move.
Right. Well, they can't because they're in housing. So they can't just pick up.
Why can't they move to another federally housing?
Because housing has to have available rooms and they have to approve them moving. So he said, so I said, look.
But this isn't overnight, so they could have, if they really don't want to live there, then they could have put an application in years ago, or they could still start now, and then within the next 2 years,
yes,
they could be
correct.
moved. And
But-
when the whole place is empty, then you'll know that
I agree.
people walked with their feet. They
Right.
they left.
But it boils down to this. I just basically said
have
not
freedom.
based on science or statistics, based
Right.
on Dan McCoy. I feel it's not safe for these residents.
Right.
And they said, why? I said, right over my shoulder, within 15
Yeah,
feet,
yeah.
is the DOT 111 sitting there, all day and all night. I said, these people live in fear. So, it was one of the things I went off the cuff, off the script, and I go, you know what though? I still feel that way. I don't feel that people should be living there. Some want to live there, and that's fine. But I just want them to have quality of life, because that's what this great country's about. And just because
Well, can't you find a way to relocate and help speed up the process and do a relocation
Yeah,
into other federal
housing has to appeal to federal housing and look for Section 8 vouchers to say, hey, look, they don't have to live in Albany. They can go all over the Capitol
Right,
Region.
but this is why people are getting paid the big bucks in the Albany
Correct.
Housing Authority, so they could do this.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's a good question for you to have them on the show and talk to them about. How's that?
Okay, so now let me, so I asked you, I want to ask you about Soldier On.
Yep. Soldier On is a project. Look, there's 1,800 veterans in the Capital District that are homeless. There's 75,000 veterans in this nation that are homeless. That's like taking the population of the town of Colony and they wake up the next day and they don't have homes. So, it's an issue facing us, not just here in the county of Albany, but in the Capital District and in this nation. This government's never called more on its citizen soldiers in the last 13 years of any other conflict.
So you want to build veterans housing?
Correct. So what we're doing is we have an Anley home that's been sitting vacant
Right.
since January of '07 next to the Shaker site by the airport. And I looked at it, we spent $1 million of taxpayers' money to heat it, to maintain it, and it's just sitting there rotten. We're not using it. So $1 million have been wasted since '07. So I go, here's an outfit, Soldier On, Jack Downing, he's the CEO, can come here. We have 38 homeless veterans living in Pittsfield that they took off of our streets that want to come home. So we can have a one-stop shop where they can get their therapy that they need, they can have housing. They find that veterans do better with about 500 square feet of living space. So with that going on, and then all the different therapy stuff that they can get, it really works. And it's one-stop shop. So if you go in to get assistance, that therapist can take you and say, here you go. I can't help you, but this person can, and move you to the next person.
But you'll have to work with the federal government for that, won't you?
Correct. This is,
And you know how efficient Veterans Affairs is.
yeah, but actually, Linda White, we talked to, who runs the VA hospital here on Holland Ave,
Yes.
has agreed to move offices there. She has agreed to work with us to help us with transitioning these veterans. And that's a huge win right there.
Yeah,
And we're
okay.
trying to get, the Governor Cuomo's on board. They're on board with helping these veterans. So this is going to be the first in the state of New York.
Okay, so let me ask you, that sounds like a great program, and that's why I wanted to
It
bring
really-
it up
it
on
really
this
is.
program,
It's
because
gonna take-
it really
yeah.
sounds like it's a win-win-win all the way
Yes.
around. And I'm sure if you're getting Governor Cuomo involved, then he's going to want to take all the credit for
Yes.
it. So be careful what you wish for,
Yeah.
because it is your baby. So be
To me,
careful
though,
about seeding.
Yeah, but to me, Mark, it's about helping the people. But I want to say this to your viewers.
Yeah.
This is a $20 to $30 million project that is going to be in a partnership. So we're not using county resources
No,
or
but
dollars.
it's still your
Yeah.
idea, and
Correct.
it shouldn't be taken away from you. like so many of these ideas are when you're trying to say, yes, we need to move this, but, you know.
But my satisfaction at the end of the day, Rabbi Amar, is it got done.
Well, I
And then
want
we
to
help
know, I
people.
want it to be known that on this show, we're giving
I
you the credit
appreciate
for
that.
that,
Thank
okay?
you. Thank you.
Now, I wanted to ask you about the heroin epidemic. How bad is the heroin epidemic in the county?
It's
And what are you
bad.
doing?
It's bad. It's, you know, we're trying to do education. As you know, we had Attorney General Snyderman up here. We actually gave.
Really?
Yes, we did. He
Where?
was in town of Gilliland.
He made an appearance?
Yes, it
Oh.
was the first
Did you
police
know?
department.
They didn't
that-
tell me about it.
They didn't tell you, Rabbi?
No.
Oh, we'll have to verify the next. I'll
All
make
right.
sure they call you.
Okay.
They, it's the first police department that was fitted with these narco kits, courtesy.
Narcan?
Narcan, yes, thank you, Narcan kits, that basically will reverse, you know, someone going, you know, having an overdose with,
And
this.
the police can administer it?
Correct. They got trained to carry these kits, which is important. So that's going to make a big change. And as we start putting out to police agencies, Sheriff Apple's been on panels talking about this. He's really been out in the community, and we're trying to work. It's, you know what this takes? This is going to take us going out with a media blitz and really highlighting what's going on, because, you know, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, you're middle income, you're black, you're white, whatever. It does not discriminate. It has affected people with a lot of money and affected people with no money. And it has the same result as tragically to lose a loved one, a brother, sister, son, daughter,
Were you
aunt, uncle.
personally touched by this in some way? in your
I
family?
am. You know what? I just watched a guy a few months ago bury his daughter, who's 21 years old, and fighting the fight with drugs. And it's sad when
Was
you see
that
that.
a friend or?
Yeah, it's a friend, you
Mhm.
know, and, you know, it's just tragically to see this go on. And, you know, but they got to want it to help, and that's the other problem. And it's so cheap now. Heroin is just so cheap of a high, it's hard to tell people
So
that.
kids
It
Yeah,
costs
just-
less than a pack of cigarettes.
Correct.
So kids just get, it's like anything, like a cigarette to them, it's like, okay, we'll have a little fun.
Yep.
And they don't know
But
what
it's
they're
educating
getting
the kids.
into.
Parents need to talk to their kids about this stuff, Rabbi. I mean, you see it in your synagogue. Parents really need to interact and say, hey, look, you know, there's choices, and we can help you, and these are things that we need to identify that something's going on with your
Well,
child.
let's talk about another addiction, casinos.
All
are
right,
you in
my
favor-
favorite topic.
Are you briefly, because it's not going to impact Albany County that much, but are you in favor of casinos? Do you like to go to Turning Stone?
The exit 23 is off.
Exit
Yes.
23 is off.
Oh, I'm here to tell you.
It's news.
I don't like losing my money. I'm not a big gambler.
No.
If I ever do go to casinos, usually the penny slots.
But it's for fun.
It's for fun.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I put a
I
certain
had-
amount of money aside. I go to the casinos, and
Yeah,
when
yeah.
that's, you know, it's the same amount of money that it would be for dinner and a movie with someone, you know, so.
correct. I had mixed emotions about it. I know the economic impact it would have initially, help us with the infrastructure. So we're going to be 331 this November years old in this county. There's a lot of infrastructure problems that we have to address that we haven't. But there's a side of gaming no one likes to talk about. And the side is that I know our DSS is going to go up, meaning, you know, food stamps, unemployment, people losing their jobs, the nasty side of stuff gaming people don't like to talk about. So that $2 million we get from whether it's in Albany County or not, it's going to offset these services. Gamblers Anonymous, we don't have really programs in this county. We're going to have to start them. Who's going to pay for it? It's going to be the county. You know, I had mixed emotions about it, but I brokered a deal with Supervisor Sheen and Mayor Sheen and Supervisor Mahan
Yeah.
to talk about Tobin's, and they didn't like it, and then
Right.
and then E23, and I said, look, the mayor has to do her due diligence, and the common council have to decide. So I sat back and I was waiting for them to make their decision. They made their, you know, by the time, well, they didn't make a decision, I should say. By the time it came out, they decided to move. So I didn't have to come out publicly for or
Right,
against
that's
it.
why I'm asking you here on this show right now.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that, look, I understand the impact it will have, but I see the bad side of it, and that's
So
why I
you would
said-
come down on negative, that you wouldn't favor it?
You know, I don't know if I would, you know? I mean, I
Right.
think there's good opportunities for jobs. It's gonna create jobs. There's no doubt about it. There's just a side no one wants to talk about.
No,
And
no,
as
they do.
county
They
executive,
do.
unfortunately, these are the programs we run in the county that I'm gonna have to deal with. But you know, where the 3 casinos are going now, in a partnership with the county, you know, and especially OTB being involved with Hard Rock, that will really, you know, favor of us, you know, money wise.
I like the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, that's actually was an interesting concept. I have to give it to them there. But it really will help us here in the county with money and to set things forward.
Because you think people stay here in our hotels and then...
Oh yeah, because Rensselaer City is not that big, so they're not going to, you know, and we're right across the water, so it should really enhance downtown Albany and both sides of the river in a partnership with the 2 mayors. So I you know, but we'll see what happens. Who knows? We'll know in October.
Let me ask you this: the convention center update. You know, how's the county involved with building this new convention center? And
you know, we've been in a good partnership prior to you know, Mayor Jennings leaving office. We worked hand in hand with them on the hotel, on the DeWitt Hotel on Willington Row. That was one of the companies we attracted down here, A&X's from Glens Falls. They're buying. So really, in you know, and Mayor Sheen now going forward, it's just that whole corner is going to be revitalized.
well, I have the corner of Eagle and State.
Yes, it is Eagle and State. State Street, they call that Wellington Row, where the old Elks building was.
Yes.
So they
and
call
the
that
Wellington Hotel. That's why they call it Wellington.
Yeah, Wellington Row.
But I got to tell you, I'm going to give you the update.
Yeah.
They are building a kosher kitchen in the convention center.
Correct.
And I'm told that they're going to...
See, he doesn't let me say that, Rabbi. He
Well, I'm
steals all
waiting
the
for
good
you.
thunder. I was going to get
You
there.
try to get him all the
Go ahead.
credit. You want
Get to it.
No, he takes the thunder, Rabbi.
No, so I can quote you in my story. Go ahead.
You know, no, it is, you know what? It's a scaled down version, and I give it to the men and women that are on that board and Gavin Donahue. Look, as a county official, and I can't speak for Mayor Sheen, there's times we agree to disagree, we have different visions, but I think it's something that's really going to fit into downtown Albany. It's going to complement the Times Union Center. They just announced today that they're having SMG manage the facility. So they awarded the contract today at the authority meeting. So which is good news because Bob Belver does a good job. You know, it's like anything else we get on him when we're trying to get acts, but he's been filling the arena with some really great acts in the last couple of months. And working together with the convention center, it's really going to make a destination for the capital region. But for that, you know, for downtown Albany, that means sales tax revenue. That means bed tax revenue. That means
But
restaurants.
talk about the kosher
The
facility.
kosher, yes, they're you know.
That's what we're looking for.
I
The
mean,
good meal
listen, you
over
want
there.
the good meal,
Yeah,
I
we're
know.
gonna have
I-
to go
Jewish
out
view.
there.
Yes,
Give us that.
you know, yes, and I'd probably say Shelley Silver might have had a little something to do with it, and there's, you know, but you know, he's a good speaker for the
Right.
assembly, and I applaud all the work that he does.
Right.
But yes, they are going to have kosher food, and they're going to have choices, and that's what people need, you know. So, you know, we all think we eat the same type of food, and I said, you know, it's great when you bring, you know, I actually got to swear in some new citizens at the federal building. And I loved it. I said, look, don't change to our culture. You know what's great about this country? Because you're bringing your culture here. You're bringing your food here. You're bringing your ideas here. And I said, that's what makes it great because you can get any type of food. So they are going to have a whole culture or kosher restaurant. And
Well, the kosher catering
Catering,
facilities.
yes, catering
And they're going
facility.
to farm out, I'm told, the kosher supervising agency to outside of this
Yes.
area. They're going to bring an outside kosher
National.
supervising agency
Yeah.
in to
To help 'em.
supervise
That's
it.
Yeah.
excellent.
So,
All right,
It
so
is.
we have to go out to dinner together.
Yes,
over
now we
here.
can, Rabbi.
Mark, you're on.
It is.
well,
it's
you can
awesome.
have you can have kosher.
Is Mark
wedding.
paying, Rabbi?
Yeah.
Is Mark paying?
You can have
Yeah, you'll wait for that over.
you can have weddings. You can have bar mitzvahs
Yeah,
outside
that'll
of
be
the
great.
synagogues and stuff, and you can
Yeah,
actually
people, I
have.
know, because of course people are always asking me, where can I go? And
You know, this is
and,
phenomenal.
have an
So
affair,
it's
so
huge
that's
for the
great.
It
Jewish
really
community.
is. No,
So-
I agree. I totally agree with you, and my hat's off to the airport. Or
And I was
the
pushing
authority.
Gavin, and I spoke to Gavin the other day about it. I've been
Yeah.
pushing for a
Yeah.
couple of years now about it, and he told me Duncan Stewart, talk to him and get him on the show, and
Yeah.
he's the executive
Yeah, that's
director.
nice.
So, and I understand there's going to be improvements to the Times Union Center because
Correct.
of the convention center. What improvements?
We're looking at a variety of improvements. We're going through it now. We put it in our capital program. We looked at self-enclosing the front of the arena, but the bang for our buck, we don't get anything for it, you know. So
It's beautiful the way it is.
It is, but it needs some work. It's you know what? It needs
there's a
more.
lot-
It
oh.
needs lighting. It needs to be painted. The arena hasn't been painted for
Right.
20 years.
Right.
There's some seats that are original. The upper seats have been in the arena since day one. The kitchens need to be updated. So we're going to invest not just in the infrastructure, putting bathrooms up on the floor. That's the biggest complaint we get.
Yep.
People can't make it down them stairs. So we talked about putting escalators in to get people down there, but also putting more bathrooms up top to make
Right.
it more convenient. So you're going to see a lot of great improvements to the facade, but make it look brand new, but make it interact with the convention center. We're going to be working hand in hand with the convention center to kind of like make them, marry into one another. And the walkway is going to be great when the walkway is done.
Very good. So congratulations with that. And I need to get an update on the Albany County Nursing Home.
The nursing home, Rabbi didn't want to talk about it, but I'll talk. The nursing home, look, we've made some great steps. We brought a consultant in, and sometimes it takes, unfortunately, in government, you have to go to one extreme to get the best results at the end of the day. Now, the unions have conceded to a lot in their contracts. It's really going to help us turn the facility around. I compliment Chairman Sean Morris and Frank Camiso went up there and they voted the initial contract down. They said, look, we can't tell you to revote, but we have to agree with the executive. If we don't get these concessions, we're done. We're out of the nursing home business. So it took the workers to finally hear that out of these two gentlemen's mouth to say, look, we have to roll up our sleeves and work together. And they are, and I applaud the men and women up there in 1199 and the other unions that said, okay, look, we're going to help you achieve a savings. So we're hoping to take that $12 million deficit and it come down to like $3.84 million.
But you also have these guys coming up from Nassau County to manage it. Right? Then you got an LBDC or something.
Yeah, they're creating an LDC. We have this gentleman, Larry Slacky, that's a consultant, but is overrunning the nursing home now. We are paying him a lot of money. We're paying him about $350,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But it's stuff that we've tried to implement. But sometimes it takes an outsider to say, hey, look, you're both right in what you're trying to do here, but let's bring the cost down to the taxpayers. And I always said this. If I can show a savings to the taxpayers that I represent at the end of the day, I have no problem. I think it's a vital service. That's why I had Upstate Service Group coming in to run a nursing home, because I felt they would have continued on with our need, but would have saved us, $10 million.
And Mr. Slacky, is that his name? Or?
Correct.
Okay, he's going to
oversee the nursing home
and
day
make
to
it
day.
more efficient.
Correct.
And make it more. Generate more revenue.
Yeah, we're gonna start trying to generate more revenue, and we're
so
not running it right.
$1 million
Unfortunately, in government, we're not good at running companies. That's not been our job. So
right, but
basically,
but you came out and said you're losing $1 million a month.
We're actually losing $1.6 million, but that's a legacy cost. We have to pay that regardless if we have a nursing home or not. That's for people in retirement already or paying their health care. So it's roughly about $1 million, and then you get IGT funding that basically offsets some other stuff. But
IGT,
yeah, it's intergovernment transfer of funds. It's from the federal government. But I'd say to everyone, it's all your federal dollars that are offsetting this in the state. It comes out of your check. You're paying state tax, you're paying federal tax and county tax. Well, it's all your taxes going into the nursing home. And to run a nursing home at $1 million loss is not acceptable.
So he's going to bring it down.
Yeah, we've worked with all these concessions now.
But he said he can even make it profitable within 18 months.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. That hasn't happened. It takes time. That's why I said I challenged him to it. Yeah. He told me he could save $1 million a month. I go, if you can save $1 million a month, I'll bring you on board, and you can show me, because I'm willing to try.
You're from Missouri. You're saying show me.
Yeah, show me the savings.
That's right.
And quite honestly, he's been on board since January. My office has been working with him day in and day out. No, we have potential savings going into the future now with the contracts in place. There's no savings as of right now, but starting in January of 2015, that deficit should be, of $1 million should be down to about $500,000 or $400,000 a month, and even less. If he's saying what we can do,
he's worth every penny of what
absolutely.
He's getting.
I don't have an issue as long as I can come in at $3.8 million for a nursing home where I was dropping over $12 million. I'm happy.
And what's how much do you bring in tax revenue in the state, in the county?
In the county in tax, we have a variety. We have the property tax, probably about $250 million.
$250 million.
Correct.
And is that enough, or do you need?
No. Look at the one unfunded mandate, Medicaid alone.
Right.
$65 million about $68 million now, out of a $90 million tax base, and that's our tax base, and so that almost consumes all the taxes we raise in Albany County for property taxes.
Well, I wish you the best. Are you running for re-election?
I am running for re-election.
Okay,
there's no doubt in my mind.
Thank you for that. And
Don McCoy, they say you're not a guest anymore. You're mishpachah.
Yes.
You're the family, but you're doing such great work. We're glad to have you part of the family. And then we also have to take up, we got to get together at this kosher restaurant
Yes.
and go out to dinner. But in any case, we wish you, my blessings are coming through. I'm wishing you success with good health.
Thank you.
And continue on with great success and with good health.
All the best to you,
Thank you,
Dan.
Rabbi. Thank you.